I got my first drone client of the year. Today, I'm going to show you how I actually got that drone client, take you along with me for the ride of the actual drone shoot, and give you a financial breakdown to determine how much I made and how long it took me to shoot. First, let's figure out how I actually got my first drone client of the year. Hello?
Hi, I'd like to get some drone footage this weekend.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It can't be that easy to get a drone client, right? Well, most of the time it's not. But sometimes, it just is. I'm your guy.
Now, this client originally found me through my website. There, they were able to schedule a call and we were able to have a conversation about what they were looking to capture. If you want a more in-depth walkthrough of my website and how it attracts clients, let me know in the comments below. After a little bit of back and forth, making sure to check the weather and everything else, we were finally able to settle on a date. After checking the airspaces, I got all the lands authorization I needed, and we were ready to go. So the first thing I did once I actually got to the drone shoot was I went and found my client. We had a nice conversation about what exactly they were looking to capture and what expectations should be set. So this drone shoot was for Social Services Community Center. They work with homeless people to get them off their feet. They own property all around a couple city blocks and they were looking to capture a photo of the campus as a whole. They were really hoping to recreate a graphic that they had created in the past. The first thing I noticed about this graphic was the height that the photo was taken. I knew that this was a little too tall to be a drone photo, so I asked, and they actually said that an airplane had taken it before. So I told them that unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to get quite as high and it wasn't going to be able to look the exact same, but I was going to do my best to try and recreate that photo, along with get a couple different angles that might work for the graphic better. After setting those expectations, off I went. This drone shoot was nothing too special. After getting locked in the parking lot for 30 minutes, I really just kind of drove around the city and took my drone up in different spots. This allowed me to capture different angles of the property and help capture some unique shots. Almost right away, I found a location similar to where the original graphic had been taken, so I was able to take my drone up and get a nice angle from that view. I was able to almost recreate the photo exactly how it was before, so I was pretty happy with that one. This is kind of where we ran into some of our first issues. I really had to take my drone up pretty high to capture quality photos of the campus. Unfortunately, it was a pretty windy day, so I kept getting strong wind advisories. At one point, due to the strong winds, I decided to bring my drone down. I gave my client a call that I'd be back in a couple hours once the wind died down, and they had no issues with it. So I decided to come back after a few hours once the wind had died down. And boy was I glad. Without the wind, I was able to take my drone up really high and capture all the unique shots that I wanted to capture without having to worry. This made the rest of the drone shoot go super smooth. Really, once we came back from the break, there were only a couple more angles that I wanted to test out and see if they would be a good fit for the drone. And I think we were able to do a pretty good job capturing a bunch of unique angles that were still able to capture the campus as a whole. Now we have to edit, export, and then I'm going to give you a financial breakdown to show how much money I made and how much time it took me to make that money. There were around 40 photos I was able to capture, so it took me less than an hour to edit. A large part of this editing was just sorting through my photos, making sure to get rid of the bad ones and keep the good ones. Now that I'm done editing, I'm going to make sure to export a copy to my hard drive and then upload the photos to my client gallery. Currently, I use Dropbox for my client galleries. I recently switched from Pixieset, which had a bunch of issues exporting videos and stuff. So for me, I really think that's just important to make sure that you keep extra backups of all of your footage. Not only do I have every single drone shoot that I've ever been a part of on a hard drive, but I also have it uploaded to the cloud in my Dropbox. This is really because I've had clients ask me months or even years later if they can get my footage again. So I just want to make sure that I always have it and that's always on hand. I also just think it's kind of cool to be able to go look at your past projects and see what you were able to capture. So now, while all of that uploads to the client gallery, I'm going to write out an email to the client. I have a couple templates that I choose from, and this really just helps make it easier for me to know exactly what I'm going to say. And finally, I'm also going to include an invoice. Some clients like to pay with checks, some credit cards. I like to have options for whatever my client wants to do. So I actually spoke with my client earlier. I know that they're probably going to pay with a credit card, so I'm just going to send them a link to an online payment and make it as easy as possible for them. And finally, let's get into the cost breakdown. So in total, we spent around 5 hours actually up in the air taking my drone around at the drone shoot. That includes that morning portion and coming back later on. In addition to that, I spent around another hour editing, which brings our total to 6 hours. And I was able to charge $200 for this drone shoot. So that brings my cost per hour to right around $33 per hour. Not bad, but not amazing. This is definitely the lower limit of what I expect to make at a drone shoot. I used to charge $50 to $100 for a drone shoot, but at this point, I'm really at a point where I need to make at least $200 for it to be worth my time. And I think that $33 an hour reflects that really well. Overall, though, I do think this was the right amount to charge. It was just like one afternoon of droning. It wasn't too much work, and they weren't expecting too much in terms of photos. If you've enjoyed this video, you might like to check out this one up here. Goodbye!